What's up, guys? We're going to be talking about part two of what women want and men. What are you doing?
Oh, I have a friend, Amanda. She can help us out with this. Let's put it on Zoom. Hey, what's up, everyone?
I'm Ranuma.
And I'm Ace.
And welcome to the R&I podcast. What's up, guys?
Welcome. So today we have an exciting episode. It's a part two, actually. And so we have a special guest. Go ahead, Renoff.
Introductions are needed, yes. So today we have Amanda Chen, founder of Salty Paloma. Amanda, welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing today?
Not bad.
We are doing good. We're okay.
We're
okay
good
today.
How about yourself?
I'm good. I can't complain. It's hot out here in Mexico.
Yes.
So
It's also hot here.
Nice.
Could you give us like a little lowdown on the Salty Paloma and also how anyone could reach out to you to, get a hold of anything from the Salty Paloma?
Yeah, sure. I'm the founder of Salty Paloma. It started off as a margarita salt. I made flavored margarita salts and sugars. And then since the pandemic started, we opened up to making virtual cocktail classes and cocktail kits that we would have for delivery. And then we recently just set up a monthly subscription program called the Stay at Home Cocktail Club, where we'll send a monthly new cocktail recipe and cocktail ingredients at your door.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a happy hour social that we'll have every month. In the meantime, I'm kind of out here in Mexico, kind of escaping the lockdown that we have back home in Toronto. And that's Salty in a nutshell.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
The subscription things, man. That's like a new generation type of thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I think the only thing back then that was subscription was this one thing that my mom was a part of. I forgot. It was like Equinox. It was like we got like filters and like ginseng drinks. It was a thing in Hawaii.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, you do a podcast. Right now, you're doing a series called The 100 Masked Men. Could you give us some insight on what that is and, what you talk about on that podcast?
Yeah. So it's been about almost 6 months now since I started the podcast. I used to be a journalist back in the day. So really back in the day, over 10 years ago. So I'm kind of getting back into it, and I've always loved interviewing people. I really to meet people in a way, interview skills and everyone having to wear masks and whether or not, which thing. And then it made me realize, we're debating over masks, but maybe we've been wearing invisible masks our whole life. And other people have been telling us what's the good thing or bad thing about us that we should be hiding by wearing these masks. And I've spent a lot of my time finding other women that are similar to me in their experiences, but I've spent no time really in finding men with similar experiences and trying to understand them. So this has been my little passion project to get closer to men and improve my relationships with them. And we're almost halfway. So I'm almost at 50 now out of the 100 men. I originally wanted to hit 300, but I think 300 was just a bit ambitious, like the movie. Go from there.
Or you could just do like in seasons. Season 2 is 100 to 200, right?
Right.
Totally do that.
So I'm doing 4 seasons right now. Each season is a quarter. So it's like 25, 25, 25, 25. But maybe I'll make a new series that'll come out from there.
Okay. How about 100 masked women?
Maybe. Yeah. We'll see.
Okay. So going to our, our subject today. So what we did before we started, the what women want in a man, we asked or we reached out to our friends via social media, and we asked them 3 traits they want in their man. One of the women we reached out to wanted empathy and assertiveness. To me, it's almost like opposites, because assertiveness can sometimes be interpreted as overbearing or just too much. What do women want when talking about 2 things that hinder one another, like empathy and assertiveness?
Yeah. So I think assertiveness gets the wrong impression a lot, that assertiveness is like aggressive or straightforward or anything like that, because the traditional concept of masculinity is, be a provider, be a protector, be strong, be silent, be noble, all these things. When assertiveness is really just having intentions and knowing exactly what you want. And I think having that intention, coming up to a woman and saying, "Hey, this is what I want. This is where I see the future of us, and this is what it looks like." I think a lot of us, especially from the podcast that I've been doing, hide behind a mask and make it appear like we're something else. So maybe like people come in and try to act like a friend when they really want like a relationship with you or something else, right? Or they pretend they
Right.
want a relationship with you and they just want to be friends. So I think that's the thing about assertiveness and being like having a very specific intention on what this relationship is going to be like. And that doesn't have to be aggressive or anything. It just needs to be clear. And then on the flip side with empathy, it's like just be able to meet us on the same page, and able to communicate emotionally and express yourself without, like, again, hiding between different words or making it sound like something that it isn't really the truth. Like, oh, I'm just busy when actually you just don't want to see somebody. Like, just, come out with full transparency and approach other people with empathy.
Okay. So communicating is a really big part to kind of add to those 2, right? Like, as a third trait, community being able to communicate with each other would probably help both, you know, both traits, correct?
Yeah, I think it's just communication, and communication will bring out those intentions, those true intentions. It'll
Oh,
bring out like how empathetic people are. Yeah. So I just think like if you talk to people long enough, you will end up understanding their language, and talk to enough people of differing languages, and then you'll get there. So, by interviewing like 50 plus guys, I finally understand a little bit more about their language than before, because I was speaking as if everyone was the same language as mine. And I think
right,
that's the biggest thing, right? To learn someone else's language.
right. Okay, that makes sense. Because like the person I asked, she added loyalty as the third, not communication, which I was just like, maybe that's a bigger part that she needs to add to that,
Yeah.
We
I think
also asked.
loyalty is,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, loyalty just, I think, is a basic, that's
Yes.
just like bare minimum. If you're going to enter a relationship, you should just be loyal.
Exactly.
And it's just maybe the definition of loyalty, or just everyone just has low expectations of what loyalty is. But loyalty is like part of that decision, that this is what you guys are doing. So I think like it needs to stop being a criteria piece, because, then that means you're allowed to do less than be loyal in a situation that you guys are in together.
Yeah, it should be a must. And then like for our list, like I have like 7 listed women down here, and most of them is loyalty. And you're right, it should be basic. But even when we did what men want in women, they also wanted the same thing. I'm just like, well, everybody's trying to be loyal, so what's going on?
Yeah, 100%.
So okay, all right. So also in part 1, we asked about humor and how to find what fits in the relationship. Some humor won't go well with women, and some can go extremely well. What are some tips or hints to look out for when trying to be funny with a woman on a first date? Like, should men go all hands on deck and dish out jokes at any time? Should he do jokes about himself to make her feel comfortable? Like, what do you think?
I just think you should be comfortable doing whatever you want to do. Like, if you have to collect jokes and be like, oh, I'm going to impress her with these things. It's the same thing as like you selecting a specific restaurant to go to or movie to talk about or whatever. Then everything's just like pre-planned, and then you don't get any like real organic engagement with this person, right? It's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to try options A, B, and C, and then see what the outcomes are. So I think that if anything is too much planning, whether you want to be humorous or not humorous, like the best route to go is just to be authentic in yourself. And maybe that might be humorous if that's the route you want to take. But I think if you try to be funny, then you just add extra pressure to yourself.
That's true.
Definitely. Like it just basically in the end, just be yourself, right? If you feel like you're funny, then just go on with it. Just go on with your own flow.
Yeah.
Do your own
have
thing.
Her accept me for me.
Yeah, easier said than done, right?
right. So, a question came up as we did part one. A very close friend of mine, she was saying, "Well, ask the next person this one." So, I'm going to ask you. So, do you think as time goes by, do you think traits, like humor, loyalty, trust, all that women try to find in men, does it change? And, especially when they get cheated on, or the relationship just, they try to make it work, but in the end it didn't. What is your take on that?
I think the definition just grows more specific.
Mm-hmm.
So loyalty might just be like, hey, we're just monogamous together. And then it's like, no, that also means you have to call me 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. And that also means you have to show up to my friends' birthdays. It also mm-hmm. means you have to this, that, right? And then that's going to mean loyalty to that person based on whatever their past experiences are that added up to that. And that might sound like a lot from somebody else, or mm-hmm. it might be exactly the same definition of loyalty for another person. So you just got to find someone that vibes the same way, rather than being like, okay, this is too much. These are like all of the things that go into my criteria of what loyalty means.
Right.
Oh, people think that like, oh, I got to be everywhere with you. That's their idea of loyalty.
Some people are like that. I had a partner that was like that. Like he just did not, he's like, if you want to be with me, like you shouldn't want to be with your friends. I was like, but so I can't have a life? That was loyalty for him. But that was also because he had issues clearly with like, his last partner leaving him. And I'm like, you know what? This is probably why they left you. There's another way to figure it out, right? And it's like, shit, okay, that's not just me. Like, there's a reason this pattern exists.
Right.
It's on you.
Oh, geez. Okay.
That's the thing. You bring up a good point. Pattern. It's funny because they start being in relationships early on, and then after that, whatever they learned or whatever they experienced, they move it on to the next one, knowing mm-hmm. that the next person that they're going to be with is totally different because you sought out this specific, girl or guy that you want to be with. And then all of a sudden you're still continuing doing the same thing. Like, obviously it's not working, it's got to be you. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the common denominator there?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just in a relationship where I had like a little bit of a mix up because so he's been cheated on and left, So let's say like he doesn't even know if you got cheated on, like these girls would just like leave him high and dry. So there was just like some surprise there. On my end, I just never really had relationships for like a really long time. And so we're trying to be together and he goes, are you comfortable with us being a couple? And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? Thinking like, am I acting like I'm being single or something? Like, are you attacking me? And he's like, no, he just wanted to check in. And he was kind of like, I don't know. You just kind of seem a little anxious about us being together. And I was like, what? And then I didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is my problem though. This is what women do. I didn't say anything. The next morning, he wanted to sleep in. And I'm like, we only have this much time here in Mexico. Okay. So we got to do stuff. And he was like, oh, I just want to sleep in for a little bit. And I was just like, hey, you're telling me that I want to be single and I'm off doing whatever and like trying not to be in this relationship, yet you just want to sleep in and do whatever. I flipped out. Anyway, The moral of the story is that both of us were insecure about different reasons, obviously, right? And he was just like, I would just want to check in because I don't know if you're into this or not. And I was like, how am I not into this if I'm like forcing you out of bed? You know what I mean? So like no one is seeing the other person's language. So we had to like literally sit down, communicate about it, and like both of us were like, yeah, we don't think both of us thinks the other person doesn't like us that much. And then we're just acting all cool and shit, you know, because it's like the beginning, right? And then it's like, hey, are we done? You know, acting like this? Can we just stop trying to be something that we're not?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you need to communicate that and find someone that's willing to do that. I think that's gonna change everything for you. Because normally I would have exploded and then they'll never see this person again, right? So
right.
So that's how it normally plays down.
That kind of leads into my next question. It was like, what do you consider a good communicator in a relationship? You know, is it someone who lets you know they're going to a store, someone who leaves their phone unlocked 24/7, someone who lets the other vent and give feedback that is only biased to their partner? What is the general consensus for women when it comes to judging a great communicator?
So I think this is a hard one because I'm kind of a hypocrite with that. Like I would want to know everything.
You give me both answers.
But at the same time, I want to be like, okay, yeah, you're your free person, do whatever you want. But then I'm like half judging everything, you know, and counting all the time zones and everything. So if it's validated, if you're like, hey, I'm busy, I got this thing, and give me a warning, then I'm cool with it. It's only when I look like I'm begging for your attention and you're like clearly ignoring me, you could literally just send me like a 1-word answer saying like, hey, I'm busy. Then I don't feel as ignored. So I think it's more the value play. You know, if I feel like this person doesn't value me as a person as much as I value them, then we have a problem. So it's more more about respect. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. How much you value the person's time and okay. So
you don't want to just like be mean to someone. Like,
right.
Yeah, if you talk to other friends and you're just like, hey, I got caught up in whatever, like don't wait until the end of the day and tell them that. Like when you're halfway through whatever your emergency is. It's just that like basic respect. And I think we're too afraid of like the other person getting mad at us or whatever. So you're just like, I just want to avoid this person for the whole day and hope like they've calmed down. But then you just ruin the whole thing. So yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, when you're checking in, you know, as if you're checking in from work. You know, you're past, you know, at this point you're working overtime. And so it's kind of like, hey, let me shoot the message off to the missus, you know, to my girl. And like, hey, guy, you know, talking about the patient right now and da-da-da-da-da. It's almost like a courtesy thing, but not, the thing is I notice is that not many people do that. I may be wrong, but that just lets the other person assume that they don't want to talk to them. Or, okay, maybe something had happened, you know, all these other thoughts, you know, but I'm that kind of person where, oh man, I'm in a room with the patient, you know, I obviously can't text. So I had to get out, you know, and then text, you know, her and just letting her know like, hey, I'm going to be out like a half hour later. So I guess it runs into the respect too, you know, let them know.
Well, sometimes they shouldn't text me when I'm about to get on stage. That's the worst for me. Like, you're like,
sorry, gosh.
Where are you?
God.
I was like, I'm performing. That's why you're here. I was like, I can't say hi right now. I'm like mid-song. And like, because I have my lyrics up, right? And then all of a sudden, just like, ding, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, snap. I was like, she's important. Hold on. So like when I'm not singing, like when I'm just doing background vocals, I'll just like answer like, you know, just kind of put my finger on the phone. On stage, you know, you shouldn't do that. It's unprofessional. Just letting you guys know. But you know, I don't know. I was trying to be nice, but that is another story.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a kind of a fun one. So all over social media, you've probably heard of nice guys finish last, and all women want jerkers or something like that. You know, I know that's not true. However, what is the other thing men need aside from being nice? Is there a catch to also being a nice guy? Because a lot of men who I've met who are like, dude, I'm such a nice guy. I'll just say, yeah, but like, what else? You know what I mean? Like, Okay, I was just like, there's because everybody is not. A lot of people I meet are nice people, but you're not gonna go and you're not gonna bend your knee and give them a ring, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Like, what else do men need for a woman to just know that they're not only a nice guy?
Okay, I have a problem with nice guys, so I'll tell you my version of the nice guy issue. So okay. I think nice guys are worse than asshole guys. Okay, because at least asshole guys are like hot. So then there's at least there's something there. So I mean, if both of them are terrible, then at least go for one that is better looking. Okay, sorry.
That makes sense. That makes sense. No. I mean, yeah. It's
so
it's honest.
The way I think about it is that nice guys are playing an act. They're trying to be your friend. They're trying to be your girlfriend. They're trying to do all of these things. They're going to go on spa days with you. They're going to like drive you around and do all this kind of stuff. And then they're going to expect a payout out of that. It's like they're like counting nice guy cards. Like, I've done them all. I want to cash in now. And then that's when women are like, oh, so you didn't actually just genuinely want to hang out with me. You just wanted to collect a bunch of nice guy cards and then eventually use them for something. So that is why I don't like nice guys, because I think they do it for a reason. Whereas assholes, they're just assholes. And then, at least that's the truth. That's the truth.
I would say,
truth, and they're just honest.
Right.
Honest,
so I'd rather that.
They're like upfront, right?
I've seen online, like some dating coaches, they all say like they talk about, when I was kind of like looking up kind of questions to ask you there, I saw some that are like, it's not about them being assholes. It's just they already know what they want and out of it. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. But I mean, I was just like, how do you be nice and ass at the same time? I don't know, but I know some guys that are that way, and it, they always swish,
Mm-hmm.
they get that 3-pointer, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just, how did that work? I think, like, dude, that's the worst.
You just gotta be yourself.
Yeah.
You just gotta be yourself, and you just gotta, be honest about your intentions, what you want. Because if you're trying to be something else and a different type of relationship with them and be nice, whatever that niceness means.
Yeah.
That's when people can sniff that out and be like, hey, what's the real reason behind you trying to be my friend? Because we don't need more friends, like you got enough friends. So
right.
What is the friendliness? Unless there's some other reason behind it. And then be honest, be like, hey, like my intentions are I want some kind of romantic, situation with you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then be like, okay, now I know.
It's funny. I'm going to go ahead and piggyback on that because it's going to lead me to my next question. Well, I'm actually going to skip my first one because the first one I'm going to kind of ask later. But the Masked Man, number 13, the nice guy. I don't know if you remember that, but I was listening to that about a couple days ago. So he talks about his version of a nice guy, and then I don't want to talk a lot about it because I'm pretty sure everybody can go into what's their podcast name again? What would you call it?
It's the Miss Amanda Chen Show podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, check her out. Check out her stuff right there. But Masked Man 13 out of 100. My question would be, as time goes by, it's like what you said, the good guys start to flip, do that 180, go back, cash in, and then be like, okay, let me turn into this a-hole. And then what about on the flip side of that? You're an a-hole, and then wouldn't it be like perfect for some women that experience that a-hole there, and they're all of a sudden like this nice guy? What are your thoughts on that? Like, what would that be?
I think that's like the perfect catch. Like when I think of it, I think a lot of us try to date under ourselves. You just think like you can't get the right person. I think with guys, at least the ones I've interviewed, they always look at like how she looks first, whereas women, like we look at personality first. So yeah, you just think of like, okay, well, if this guy is already an asshole, at least he's gonna be honest about this and that, and then you can be surprised, right? Because you can't go worse. I mean,
right?
Usually not far worse than if you already started that way, right?
It could be nice.
The other way is
like you've already hit rock
nice
bottom,
and then goes worse. Yeah. So it's
Right,
like, yeah,
yeah.
this person already kind of sucks. Or is
Yeah.
just like so full of himself. Then you like, oh, okay, cool. This guy has some layers. Interesting, and that's okay. It takes some time. But then it's the same thing with hot chicks, like it's like they're just there and you're just like this person is untouchable, and then slowly and slowly you peel off the layers and realize like no one talks to her, and she's actually like a real human.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's the same.
That's normally the case.
Yeah.
With hot chicks. Yeah. They're just like, you realize that like no one's coming up to them. I'm like, all right. Hello.
Yeah, this is crazy, right?
Hi. But yeah, no, it does definitely, like, you wonder why, like, but some of my friends would be like looking at them at like the bar or whatever, and they're like, man, there's no way. I'll just like, there's a way.
Yeah, because in the podcast, he talked about how he kind of switched up from being the nice guy into this asshole in the bar, and then he got different reactions. So I mean, of course you're gonna get different reactions because you're changing up your game. So obviously, what your score is gonna get what you get from throwing the game out. Another thing that he brought up was that he was explaining how there's not a lot of groups out there for men, for mental health and illness. I was actually in a podcast talking about that because this guy is like, he was all about the brotherhood and all that, and he was a pretty cool guy, and we talked about my brother's death and all that. Anyways, long story short, I feel like there are groups out there. It's just that I feel like us men can have that big pride that they have in them that just doesn't want to kind of like find it, whereas you got the women out there, they got the sisterhood, they got all these Facebook groups and everything, and they're all in there, and like that's pretty cool. I mean, the guys they have it too. So I think he's just not looking. That's how I'm gathering it, because I show vulnerability even like on my first date sometimes. So I think it's just different for some guys.
Yeah, I understand. And I think that was an early one. So he was number 13.
Yeah.
Since then, I met so many men's coaches, people in men's groups. I'm even making a case study with the men's mental health app, and my podcast is sponsored by another men's mental health app. Nice. So what's been crazy is it's been a huge trend towards men's mental health. And I think what's been interesting is men are feeling more comfortable talking to me because I'm a female host before they end up talking to other men, because it's like you gotta be able to be vulnerable with other guys. And like we're so used to walking into a room and sizing each other up and being like, okay, who's top dog here, right? So you gotta get over those traditional aspects of male to male community, right? Before you can even like dig into those emotions and then express that like openly in the rest of your life. But yeah, some people aren't looking. They do not want to go there.
Right.
Okay, so this is a kind of like a topic that I've heard a lot between some of my friends, but it's like the dating processes, or like or the phases in the dating process. There's like the talking phase, there's the dating phase, and then making it official. For men to understand women, what is the difference between the talking and dating phase?
The talking and dating phase, talking, you're literally just talking. You haven't gone on any dates yet, right? So that you can have a whole virtual relationship with someone and never even meet them, and that would be still considered talking. And even if now it's even more extreme, like you can have video chats with them, but you still didn't see them in real life, then it's not dating yet. That's how I would say.
So it's more like the literal term, right?
Yeah, because yeah.
Because if you were to go out, say at a group thing, so like say your buddy and his wife or whatever invite you out, and then you bring her, is that considered a date? Because sometimes that could be considered the talking as well.
Okay, yeah. So this is some toxic nonsense of people like not saying that they're actually dating. That's if there's no communication over the intentions between the two of you. So if you guys are saying like if one person thinks they're dating and the other person thinks they're talking, it's because they're playing semantics on the definitions on what that means. Dating means I want to go into a relationship with you. I'm on the path. And most people are on the path, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
if you're not on the path, you should just not be talking or dating or any of these things at all. You should just be like, this is whoever. So I think talking needs to be erased. I think it just starts at dating and goes on, or there's nothing. It's just hooking up. It's just whatever it is. It's
Mhm.
not even a word.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
I
so
give up.
it's funny because we had a conversation about that. Like what's the difference between, or what is your perspective on dating? And personally for me, it's kind of like dating with the intention of being in a relationship. I don't see me dating like multiple, females at one time, because that's not how I am. But a friend of mine was saying, me dating, I'm with, talking to more than one girl or guy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, so it's kind of like what you said. It's just a way of words, I guess. Or I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but that's just how. I mean, that's just how I see it. I think.
Yeah, and everyone's definition is going to be different,
Mhm.
and they're going to think like this is the right thing to do. Like I haven't decided yet, so I want to go try everybody and then decide amongst
Yeah.
these people, or I just want to be dating everyone all the time. Then that needs to be communicated. It's when you pretend that you want to do one thing with one
Mhm.
person and lead them on one path, and
Right.
you don't want to do that, or you're leading on many people in that path. I think that's a new thing to talk about. Like, what even is your path? Because I
Right.
don't think we all have the same linear version of a romantic relationship anymore, just because the world has been so different.
Yeah. And because I've been on dates where the girl's like, yeah, my intentions are, I'm dating around. I don't want to be in a committed relationship. So I'm like, okay, that's all right. My thing is, okay, let's do one date and that's it, because we already decided on that date. After that, I'm not even going to pursue her because she's already laid it out in front of me saying what she wants to do. Obviously for me, it's like, that's not my cup of tea. I don't want to drink that now. So I'm going to try going over here. And I don't want to, it's kind of like, I don't want to waste people's time, like, I mean, granted that we don't even talk, it's kind of like that. I think it's just a personal thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
there's this one. I think he's the chick magnet or something.
Mhm.
He was I forgot which number he's at, but he talks about like the back burner. He was like an ex band boy, and he talked about the front burner and the back burner of like girls in different cities. And
Oh,
in the back
man.
burner is like these girls that you just keep them warm,
Oh
and
my
it's like, can
gosh.
you just get rid? If I'm on the back burner, please get rid of me. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to be here.
Right.
So yeah, you have this whole like chick rating system to see who was a certified babe, and they would like talk about different things, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. But
What?
yeah,
Oh man, that's crazy.
I know.
Oh man.
You gotta
I
listen to
probably
that episode.
I think I'm gonna have to listen to that next.
That's so
My band
funny.
doesn't do that.
Yeah. I was thinking,
We don't do that.
Are you
is?
sure?
We're good. We're good.
You're like,
gentlemen. Okay, we're the best. Moving on. Okay, there's a lot of
Right is right.
So yeah, so there's tons of couples out there that survive each other by accepting one another's flaws. What are the general or tolerable things that a man can do that women would be like, I guess that's fine? Like, I guess in a sense, like
Spit it out.
burping,
There you
farting, spitting, the temper. They do light drugs. I say light drugs, but clingy needs too much attention. Like, what is something that what is like a normal thing? And this is for both. And that was for more for like couples. And then the other one would be like, what are like things that won't be deal breakers and like when you're dating in the dating phase, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the tolerable things?
I think it's just what are your like soft tolerances and hard tolerances, right? Like absolute not okay versus like meh, I'm okay with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, this person can't be trying to grow in their profession. So that means they're not there yet. If they're not there yet, then I can't date you because I'm already there. So if we're not on the same level, then and that's professionally. It could also be personally, it could be financially, it could be all these things, right? So if you don't have that, then but it would be different. If I was not there either, then I would go find someone the same level, right? So I think you need to find someone that you are on the same page literally in your lifestyle. So if I want kids and this person wants kids, then cool, we will date. If this person doesn't want kids and I want kids, then we shouldn't waste our time. So I think those questions need to be figured out like ASAP. I think a lot of us just like wait for the chemistry to go and then you formulate a relationship and you get attached and you're like, oh no, does this person want the same life as mine? I don't know anymore. And then it gets confusing, right? So I think that's what matters to people in terms of like if someone has characteristics, like someone's a morning person or a night person, that can change. Mm-hmm. Those are not, those are soft rules, right? If you know, my man comes to Mexico with me, I'm sure he's going to wake up every day in the morning because the sun is shining, you know, it's a beautiful landscape. Yeah. But if you're back home, you're just like, no, I'm not waking up. I don't want to go to work. So those things can change, whether or not someone's funny, whether they're open-minded, whether they like cooking at home or not, you know, that stuff is going to change based on the environment and who they're with. But those hard rules of like, you know, where am I? Do I feel where I'm at? Mm-hmm. Personally, professionally, everything. If they're still searching and you've already done it, or vice versa, then it's not going to work out. That's like a hard no, because you can't, right? Like you're going to hit a wall.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it definitely. I never thought of like putting certain things as soft or like hard. You know what I mean? Like that. When dealing with something that you can tolerate or what's negotiable in a relationship, I always thought it was just like kind of like one dimensional, but I like how that's more explained. So, fellas, you know, I mean, you know, we had a lot of good questions and great answers. And I think that was like, yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us, by the way. I mean, like taking out the time, you know, like giving us these, I mean, like, because your answers are very different from, you know, from the first part one that we did. And you know, it's kind of like the other side or like a different type of woman giving her, you know, ideas. So we kind of brought in that, the aspect of what women want in a man. We didn't do that for the men because we didn't have a guest speaker. So we might go reach out to you know, a guy and, you know, try to ask him some questions and, you know, we'll definitely, I think we should do that for sure.
Hey man, before we get off,
in perspective, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Hey man, before you get off, I got a couple more questions. I'm sorry, they're just coming to my mind right now. Actually,
absolutely.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, so I've got, again, she listened to the last podcast that we did, and so she's like texting me like all these other questions. So she's got like, I think there's like one, and there's like one big one here. So her name is Nancy Rufakaba. So one of her first question was, and she has it on my text here, what does she consider, or I guess it's going to you. Hey, there we go. What do you consider to be the most challenging issue single females are faced with?
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Single women now in 2021 that are trying to date is, I guess, the biggest challenge is living your life freely and not compromising. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us have spent our whole lives compromising in relationships. And if you're single now in 2021, where everyone's talking about like living your own life, we're more aware of our mental health and our lifestyle changes. How do you find a relationship with somebody that you don't know yet, like most people just default to like a best friend that they've known for their whole lives. So if you're going to try and date someone new now, like you got to look around to find someone that has very similar characteristics as you, but you won't discover them ASAP, right? Like you got to figure that out over time. So I think, how are you going to do that without compromising your own freedom? Because you might end up just like going along with this person just because you kind of like this person and just fall into it. So I think it's all about self-worth at this point of just like, hey, I want it like this. This is how I want my relationship to be like, and don't take anybody else unless they're like that. And that's really hard to do. Like saying no to people that you might like a little bit or a lot. But if they don't fit the same lifestyle, like again, there's no point. Because it's not going to work out like in the long run.
Okay. The next one, again, I think these are all for your questions. It's kind of like she's going it, she's passing it through from me to you. It's kind of cool. Hey, this is different. Questions. Yeah. Okay. So why, as a female, does it feel like men struggle to approach females? And how can we make it easier when we also show interest in them? Like, and she goes and says, we can no longer show a smile.
Okay. So this is interesting. I talk a lot about this on my podcast, and the biggest fear is rejection. And I'm just like, just tell me right now what your intentions are. And then I have the power to say yes or no. And this is me. I just really want woman empowerment. Guys will just be like, oh my God, I'm going to look like a creep. Oh my God, she's going to think this. Oh my God, I'm going to like have to leave with this rejection, Right. And they circle through all of these worst case scenarios. So, but you don't know until you go and find out, right? So you spend all this time circling these potential ideas. If you just go, then you'll find the answer. Another way to make it more approachable on the woman's side is just to not think that everyone is going to be a creep, So there's a reason why men are afraid of sounding like a creep, because usually women are just like, okay, don't even talk to me. If you show up in an elevator with them, they're not going to make eye contact, whatever. So unfortunately, that's just been the experience that a lot of women have, where most guys suck, so it's hard to differentiate the difference. So I think for women, it'd just be like, don't think that they're all the same. The whole like not all men thing, because that's true. Right. It's not. But it's really hard to not think that way when that's been a majority of experiences. So on both sides, just like try for once, and then the other side, be open to receiving it. Okay.
Well, there you have it, Nancy. Questions answered.
There we go.
Hey. Yeah, shout out to Nancy Rivacaba for shooting out those text messages. She's a really good supporter. But yeah, listen to her podcast.
Really quick, Amanda, could you please one more time give us or give the viewers, the listeners, how they can listen to your podcast, or where they can listen to it, as well as hooking up with some of your stuff with Salty Paloma?
Yeah, so the podcast is the Miss Amanda Chen Show podcast. I launch a new episode every Wednesday, so make sure to subscribe, and they're on basically every platform that you can stream podcasts on. And I am almost wrapping up season 2 with a full recap of the 50 guys, and then we'll be starting off season 3. And we're hitting the halfway point.
Hey, and you never know, maybe Iz and I would join that mask men posse.
Never
know. I don't know which way my mask can be, but all right. Okay, cool. Nice. Thank you so much for joining us again, Amanda. Loved your answers.
Thank you so much.
They're incredible. And so
thank you.
Randolph, take us home, man.
All right. So that wraps up this episode. Thank you to White Wong Media. Don't forget to like us on Facebook also.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Like, comment down below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the links are down below. Thanks again for tuning in.
See you next time.
See you guys next time.